Welcome, everybody. Today, I'm with a very, very special guest. He hails from the Dominican Republic, a beautiful part of the world. It's very tropical, lush. His name's Matthew Bell, and we've been communicating for the last few years, mainly because he did the Expand Your Consciousness course. That's like all my life's work, 10 courses, which I put together over 5, 7 years. And Matt's a jungle school teacher, and he's been effectively studying this knowledge and sharing it with his students in the jungle school. And yeah, so we're going to just have a chat about his experience and why he's passionate about sacred geometry. I believe it was about 5 years ago, Matt, that you got interested in sacred geometry. Can you tell us a little bit about the background, your story, where you are, for those who don't know where the Dominican Republic is?
All right. Well, first, thank you so much for having me and for this chat. It's really exciting for me, especially after studying your work for the past couple of years. Yeah, I am currently a teacher out here in Dominican Republic. In the school I work for is the Samana International Academy, and it is a jungle school. We're right on a hillside, and if you look out, it's just absolutely gorgeous. You can see the bay, Samana Bay. You can see the hills and the mountains, the all sorts of things. It's a
Yes.
beautiful spot. So yeah, for me, I actually came across your sacred geometry through Instagram. Kind of got me inspired to go for it and learn because I didn't know much about how to access sacred geometry knowledge.
Yeah.
So about 5 years ago, um, I had a buddy of mine that I was working with sent me a book, just so I get the title right. Nothing in this book is true, but it's exactly how things are.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and when I read it, it answered a lot of questions. And through the book, there's probably three chapters around sacred geometry, golden ratio, Fibonacci sequence, and so on. And it sparked my interest because it talked a little bit about pyramids, the Sphinx, and certain sites around the world that have these significant numbers and measurements and details. And so, a couple of years went by, and I got more into breath work, finding more spiritual guidance and things that really spoke to me and started to see the world in a different way.
Right.
And then about a year and a half ago, a school I was working at had uh, a, a unit, a 6-week unit called the golden ratio and the Fibonacci sequence. And so
Oh,
I started to see just doing little things like, oh, we're looking for the spiral. We kind of went through all the little things and explored sort of on a surface level. And I don't know, I think my phone was listening to me as I was teaching that course because you
hmm.
popped up, and I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
really?
who is this? And I started looking at what you had and your posts, and that's when I reached out, and your team directed me to your website, and here I am today. Long story short.
Wow. And I also understand you're a Thai instructor. What's the school that's
So I also do Muay Thai.
more
So I
Thai?
try. Yeah, and that's part of it too with the spiritualness, the body awareness, the all those things that I've learned kind of growing up. So I started training in Muay Thai years ago, and it's taken me around the world. I've fought in several countries, and I've trained in more countries, even Australia. I was fortunate enough to train there for a little while. And yeah, I continue to teach and train here, kind of half students, like half children, half adults. I just have two classes. I got about 12 students,
Is that
12.
it's a middle school? Can you explain to those in Australia who don't know what a middle school is?
Oh yeah, middle school. Yeah. So I think that's I don't know if
Primary
it's
school, what we call primary school, I think.
yeah, so we call middle school or senior public school
Yes,
is the Canadian term. So it's the ages of like 10 to 14, kind of like, I guess I'd say grade 6, 7, 8. So it
yes.
might be,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
12 to 14, more like it.
so you've done like 6 countries. I think what defines you is that you love culture. You actually,
Hmm.
that's what drives you and sacred architecture. Yeah.
Yeah, the most fascinating thing for me is the culture. Like traveling to different countries, you really see what the world is like in different environments. And then through there, you get the different structures, the different ways of living, which is really fascinating to me, and seeing how the stories, really, the stories that come out, what people talk about and what they really mean. And being a teacher has afforded me the opportunities to travel, uh, and be in a place permanently for a year or more, depending on the contract or how things work out. Yeah, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to travel to more countries and see more things. So much like the picture that you're showing now,
Yes.
I was there in the Vatican looking at this, walking through the Sistine Chapel, seeing the architecture, seeing uh, so much. I think, it kind of subconsciously sticks in your head when you start seeing these things. And
Yeah.
after a while, you're like, I've seen that before. I've seen that before.
Yes.
I've seen that too. And like all
And
over the
this
place.
obelisk, the obelisk that comes out of the intersection of the two circles that we call the mandorla or the almond shape, it's precisely placed. So this is very conscious architecture. This is like
Hmm.
sense to a grid when you look at the alleyway where it's pointing down the alleyway, and this grid extends like a spider web around the world. So it becomes it kind of changes our consciousness when we realize that this sacred or bioarchitecture is also like a map of the human body. It's showing us all the sacred vortexes, not just on the earth, but in our body.
Hmm.
Very inspiring when we travel and go to holy places like this.
Hmm. And seeing them in different countries, some of them aren't nearly as famous as this one. When I was in London, England, I saw a couple, obviously in the United States, in Washington, and a few other spots that I've seen smaller ones. I can't think of them offhand, but it is interesting to see how that shape is so globally recognized. And I
Yeah.
think and the recent discoveries of in Egypt under the pyramids, if what they're saying is true, then that's to me it's an obelisk going underground rather than above ground.
Yeah, I was talking with David Sarita, and he was saying I did three Zoom interviews with David Sarita of Canada. He was the head of like Tesla research in Los Angeles, like one of the world's greatest scholars. And when he looked at those 2 kilometers of 6 columns going down into the earth, he realized that that was a way of transferring energy through the earth, not just how Tesla did it through the air, through the sky, through the microwaves. It was actually another way of creating what he called piezoelectricity and sending energy through the earth. And I love that. It was like no one had described what we're actually seeing. And again, the vast intelligence you know, that's led to where we are now, and we still can't even reproduce half of what they've created in those ancient days. And
Hmm. I really, when I was learning through your courses, it started to think like it's I don't want to make it sound. I'll just. Yeah. It doesn't seem that intelligent in the sense of what it is. It seems like it is a natural way for us to see things. Like we sort of already do it, but do we know what it's capable of? I think that's the intelligence. The
yes,
structure itself seems to be no, natural to us. I've built things out of Lego when I was a kid that would show similar structures just because that's what we're naturally doing, but the capabilities, I think, is where we find the intelligence and then being able to recreate it and make it work. That's the challenge for us.
yes. Well, that reminds me about the courses. Like the reason why we're having this conversation is that you've actually watched about. I've got 10 courses that I've actually created over the last 7 years. It all happened during the COVID time. I was teaching all around the world, like in France, Germany, and then suddenly COVID came. And what happened for me was that um, a lot of the parents who didn't want their children to be vaccinated at the time, they pulled their kids out of school and then they were homeschooling and they started asking these questions like, okay, we're homeschooling now, 3 kids. How do we teach them mathematics? So I'd already put up, I'd already done lots of workbooks. I've got 30 books for like I've written 30 books. You can see my library. I love books.
Hmm.
But one day, before COVID, for the last couple of years before COVID, I had an epiphany to summarize all my 300-page books down to 100 for teenagers. It's kind of like a course for keen teens, making sacred geometry for children really accessible and simple. So I spent years writing 6 workbooks. And then when COVID came, I took my daughter to France and she said, Dad, why don't we just film all the content, like make it all available on YouTube for all the homeschoolers? And we just started, and we're not filmmakers, we just started using, we bought a digital camera and we started filming, and that created all this content. So I'm just going to show some of the course, the material. Okay, so these are the name of the. So what we decided to put all these courses together. There's 10 of them: Sacred Geometry, Flower of Life, Science of Sound, Sacred Geometry for Kids. That's my favorite. Golden Ratio, Magic Squares. Just checking all the. Oh, I had to get the brightness better. Crystals, Art of Number, Platonic Solids, Vedic Maths. So I went around the world teaching speed maths, getting kids to calculate in their head, but we decided to put it all together into a thing called Expand Your Consciousness. That's so pretty much if someone wanted this whole library of everything I've done in 40 years, it's all in these courses. So yeah, so the way we met, just for those who are watching, Matt contacted us saying, I can't get the link happening to print out or get my certificate of graduation. So when you've watched all this material, you basically click on something and you get a certificate of completion. So basically, there have been other people who've graduated, but Matt's our first one who we've actually met and communicated to. So I'm just so excited to be able to hear what you've learnt, what you've garnished or gathered, or where this, like the fact that this information that you're learning and you're translating it down to a middle school age students,
Hmm.
that just completely um, overwhelms me that, this energy, this knowledge is going down to the youth.
Hmm. Yeah, for me, looking at what students are learning in schools, or from my experience of teaching, especially teaching abroad, and learning it, it's like this is really like it's information that the students can use in any subject, the basis for a lot of their creativity or just being able to look at things differently. I had one day we called nature journaling.
Yes.
I think I'd been studying, kind of getting close to the end, I suppose. And I was like, oh, I was gonna try to do this. Like I told the kids, go out and try to find something that that has a shape to it. Like it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yes.
And doing that was like they were curious. They were like, "How am I going to find shapes out in the jungle?" I was like, "Well, look hard."
Yes.
And it was just like that really shocked me. It was like something so that seemed to me to be so simple of go find a shape. For them, being in the jungle every day, we have our building, but to be for them to think like that's kind of strange. Why would I go find a shape? And off they went, and they came back, and they were bringing like everything they could find. The flowers on the ground, the acorns, the leaves, the
Mhm.
different like there wasn't a lot of fruit on the plants at the time, but just everything they could find. And it was just really fascinating to be like there was the curiosity. That was what got me about giving this to the students and passing it on to be thinking, let's get their pencils into paper. Let's get them out and exploring. Let's get them finding what it is that they're actually trying to look at and learn. And when they learn something, it's curiosity that sparks them. And another example is I was like we were building something one day and I just thought, I'm gonna just make a tetrahedron out of the sticks and glue that I had
Yeah.
because they were doing their thing and we were kind of all working together. We were all building something individual. So I built it and then it just kind of sat there. And I think one of the courses, we looked at the shadow. Repeatedly. There was a lot like, look at the shadow of these shapes.
Mm.
And so one student just like picked it up. He started playing with it. He's like, what is this? I was like, well, it's a bunch of triangles. He's like, well, what's the name of it? It's a 3D shape. I was like, oh, it's a tetrahedron. And so I showed him to go look at it in the sunlight in the shadow. And the student looked at it, and then another student came over, another student came over. And within like 10 seconds, there were 4 or 5 students all looking at this shape and the shadows on the floor, and they were having a blast with it. And then the next day they wanted to build a cube, and the next day they wanted to build something similar to the I can't remember the name of the shape, but similar to the Vogel crystal, with the 2 points on the top.
Yeah. The
And I had probably about 3 or 4 students, yeah. So they wanted to build that shape, and they just kept kind of
24
like, oh,
sided. That's the 24-sided Vogel. Yep.
yeah. And so I felt like, well, if this is, I'm not even, it's not even part of the curriculum at the school. It was just something that sort of was coming out naturally. And I found that when the students were curious, like I couldn't stop them learning. Like even like break would come and I'd be like, hey guys, it's break time. You can go out and play. And they're like, cool, can we stay here and keep doing this? I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
So this is something that's really, taken a place in my heart, taken a place in my spirit of changing my teaching approach. And there's other things like my son as well. He's so into it now.
Yeah.
He has his good days and bad. He's only 7, so.
Can you show us can you share your screen and show us that tetrahedron with the string model? I was looking for it
Mm,
before, I didn't have it. It's in another
okay.
folder, but
Okay. You know what?
show us a few. We want to see what's inside the school. What are your students doing? What are you making? Anything you can share with us?
Yeah. There we go.
So basically, I'll just show it in my little view. It's got four triangular faces. It's a tetrahedron. And could you explain what they're doing? They're joining the midpoint of the six edges. There's six
Hmm.
that are joined to make this 3D shape. So what are they discovering there? What did they learn by, like, I call it magic spider, when magic spider weaves a golden thread. So what
Yes.
did they create there and learn?
So we took the tetrahedron and we took the string and well the challenge was I showed the tetrahedron without the string.
All
Excuse
right.
me.
Yes.
And I said the challenge was, they always want stuff, they always want like, oh, can we have extra time to do this or playtime? So I was like, okay, I'll give you a challenge. It's like if you can find the square inside that tetrahedron, I'll give you guys bonus stuff, whatever it might have been at the time. And they were all just kind of looked at me like, there's no square in there. We can't see it. And I was like, okay, well, take a look at it. So a couple of them kept trying, and probably about 5 minutes, and they had given up. So I was like, all right, let's see if we can use a string to help us.
Yes.
Just start wrapping the string around different places and see what you get. And so after a while, they kind of tried, and they finally found it, but it was a bit of a tricky find. Like I did have to kind of help them a little bit. So once they were,
Even I didn't know for years that there was a square. One day I just
yeah.
on the internet I said, "What? There's a square in there."
Yeah, and because like I mentioned earlier, one of the students was looking at the shadow, and he spoke up and was like, "Well, I can show you the square," and he took it over to the sunlight.
Yes.
And so after we kind of wrapped it up, we took the yarn that we had and made this shape here inside of it, the octahedron, and showing the square and like how it looks. And they kind of were quite fascinated. And then a couple of students kept building it, kept going after it, like I said. And then I think it was over a weekend. There's a better picture of it. Over the weekend, I came in. So I had this hanging up after we did it, but I came in and there was a spider inside of it. And it fascinated me because it was one of those
Beautiful. That's
things where
such
like,
a great photo with the spider web in the very middle there, is it?
yeah, it was right in the middle. It was unbelievable in a way. I was like shocked because one of your, I say your famous quotes is magic spider spins the web and
Yeah.
connects everything inside. And
Yes.
when I came in to look at it, I was like, the spider web was so beautiful. And part of the reason you can see the spider web is because it had just rained that morning. You can see in the background,
Yes.
it's quite hazy with mist and a bit of rain. So just the beauty of it, and kind of the morning was a bit special too. You come in, it's quiet, the rain had just fallen. It's
Yes.
quite heavy atmosphere, but just the calmness and quietness of it. So you can see a little bit there,
Yes.
and that one.
No.
That one gives you a little better picture. And the spider was in there.
Do you mind if
So I
we
showed,
Photoshop that and highlight the spider and the web in there? I can get my artist. If I had to choose a picture that defines our conversation and what you're doing, I would choose something like that where there's a beautiful.
yeah, yeah,
It'd be great
please
if there were
do.
some children around too. Would be even. more. We could probably do a collage where there's some beautiful kids around playing with it or holding it.
Yeah. Well,
Spider.
I'll get some pictures in a couple of weeks when they come back to
Okay,
school.
great. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I like that. Any other pictures you've got about what the children have created or other subjects that you teach them? What are they? Do they understand, like, say, the golden ratio and like the math?
Not yet. I
Do
think I'm
they learn
introducing it this year.
Fibonacci numbers or anything like that?
Well, yeah, so we did the magic squares was something I did with them. I don't have any pictures. I always did a few challenges um, where one of the challenges was to do the 3 by 3 magic square. And
Yes.
that one seemed to be the simplest one for them because I could use a deck of cards.
Yes.
And so one of the classes or subjects that I teach is logic. And that's what I did. I gave them a whole bunch of Magic Square puzzles and designs. And the cards with the cards, they were really fascinated with that one because it was just something like they didn't believe me. You know, it's funny that it's this curiosity bit. It's like this challenging question that you have to ask me, like set the cards out, each row and column and diagonal has to add up to 15.
That's right.
And they kind of look at me like, well, sure,
What?
we'll believe you, you're our teacher. That's kind of the funny thing with students sometimes. They throw caution to the wind, like, well, you're our teacher. What harm is this? Yeah, they all went for it, and it became a really exciting thing. And they were trying to figure out could they do it with different rows or different arrangements, and they just kind of went for it. So with those kind of activities, they need these like challenges that spark their curiosity and allow them to have that. Like they could get it wrong, but like there's no consequence to getting it wrong. It's just okay, now we rearrange it, and they can continue to keep correcting themselves, which is something we don't really see in sort of the traditional sense. It's like it's right or wrong. It's not, well, you haven't reached your conclusion yet. That's more of the approach I want to take.
I'm just going to grab I'm in a room full of magic squares. I'm just going to grab a wooden 4 by 4 square. 1 second. You can keep
All right.
talking.
Okay. So when we've done those with the magic squares, trying to doing the designs with it as well, so connecting the numbers in order, and that made them kind of get a little more intrigued, especially the few artists. And then what was the other one we did? Oh, I introduced, I think the first few pages of drawing the circles and using your right hand and left hand
Oh, yes.
to draw the circle. I think it was the beginning of your mathematics for kids and teens.
Those workbooks were all downloaded from the when you got expand your consciousness. We call it the bundle.
Yeah,
I think we gave all those 6 workbooks as PDFs.
yeah.
So you work. So did they actually go through all of that pretty much?
Well,
The
that was the
magic
interesting
squares.
part.
Yeah.
I got I think about 20 pages in, and they kind of started to lose interest because it was just getting a little bit challenging for them.
Yeah.
That's kind of the tricky thing with kids and students these days, especially with devices being so widely used that sometimes a challenge comes up and they lose interest a little bit. But they keep going on it. I keep throwing in a little bit here and there,
I find
and so
children learn a lot from when they've learned the 3 by 3, that's the odd number. This is the even one. I can't hold it
mhm,
because it'll all fall off. They're just like little tiles that they, it's just like little tiles that all pop out. But
yeah,
imagine if what I do with children, there's 16 little tiles, but imagine we had one, two, three, four, five, six. That's called a natural square. So you rearrange the tiles as a natural square, one all the way to 16. And then all they have to do is they pick up these 4 cells in the diagonals, and they just literally mirror image them. So where the 4 is, they swap it with the 13. They swap these two. Then they just reverse this diagonal. So 1, 6, 11, 16. Suddenly, if you write it this way, 1, 6, 11, 16, the final result, everything adds up to 34, like the 4 columns, the 4 rows. Even if you put a cross in there, you've got the 4 quadrants. So these 4 and those 4 add up to 34. The 4 center numbers add up to 34. The 4 corner numbers, even the opposite pairs, like these two. there's so much, and this is just one of 880. There's 880 different, I know with the Magic Square 3 that you started with, there's 880, there's eight versions. But with this particular 4x4, there's 880 different ways that you can rearrange the numbers so that everything is up to 34. So my whole school, what I'm trying to do is set up a foundation where we can get into computers and not so much AI, but I want to be able to record all that information of the 880 and draw the patterns, and they all make you beautiful pictures. So I'm working on a vision with children and families and teachers to put all this together. So when I was like 20, when I'd finished school, I was already talking about one day I'm going to set up something called Freedoms it's an acronym for Research Expressing scene data of Magic Square. So my whole journey, what started my whole journey was playing around with these possibilities of it's kind of like each one is a fingerprint of God or like a snowflake is different.
Hmm.
My whole journey began about getting kids to draw Magic Square. So when I hear you doing that as well, it means a lot to me that you're giving these children the possibility to explore the world and patterns and symmetry.
Yeah, that's been really helpful with some of my students who don't enjoy math or uh, they don't really connect with numbers the same way. I have a few students who struggle with math, and as soon as I started showing them something like a magic square, and be like, "Well, you can actually make art from this," and that
Yes.
was the other part of it. It's like suddenly they're like, well, I don't, they didn't see it, right? But then when we show them the magic square, show them how to connect it, color it, and then they just, okay, different point of view on numbers now.
Yeah. No, that's good.
That's if that's what I've really enjoyed about a lot of the your commentary in the courses and on that knowledge is not just seeing how these all connect and work and it's like the puzzle being put together.
Yeah.
It's the feminine side of mathematics. You have this artistic, this the the chaos coming and looking so elegant and smooth and winding through, and you look at it, it's like this is the balance. This is the masculine and feminine coming together to create something beautiful. And for my students to see that, it's a wonderful thing.
So with your conversation before, I just wanted to show people when you were showing the students the tetrahedron that so what the students were doing before with this one of the five platonic solids was you mark a point on the six edges. It's called the midpoint at the middle there. So the students go internally in there and draw it. And what they discover that what's inside the tetrahedron was actually so this is actually inside of that. You can't see it, but it's actually in there. And that's the
I got one here.
you've got it there. Yep, there it
I don't know
is.
if you get it in focus.
And that's where the square is. I'm showing the square that the students were looking for the square in there, which is part
Yeah,
of
you can see it.
yeah. And then I decided to do another thing. The way instead of joining the six, so we've got the six edges here. So another thing that they can do is like you marked the six edges to get the octahedron, which we call it the diamond light body. But this was again like you, I'm just roughly putting it together. But I wanted to get the children to join the four centers of the four faces. There's a triangle here. So we're going to get Magic Spider to go inside and draw what's inside the four face centers. But if you ask the child, where's the center of that face, most parents would put their finger at the mid. There's that's called an altitude. Most
Hmm.
parents would put their finger and say, oh, that's the middle of that triangle. And if you ask a 5-year-old where's the middle, they would put their finger roughly about there, which is a third. That distance there is a third of the that altitude. So most kids already know intuitively that's the center, and adults get it wrong. But what you get when you draw it inside is you get a smaller tetrahedron. And that's called fractal when the inside is the same as the outside. So it's like if that's the mother, this is the baby. And what's interesting is that when they discover this self-similar shape inside, it's inverted, that little shape fits inside the big shape 27 times. And if you keep doubling, and that forms a series. So if I'm leading up to 432, you're asking a question about 432. So if you take that 27 as a fundamental seed and double it, we start getting all these sacred numbers in architecture and music. So you get 27, 54, 108, 216, 432. So that I was just leading up to some you were asking about something in one of your questions before about what's what's so special about 432 or
Yeah. So what I was thinking when several times throughout the course, 432 pops up and 432 hertz.
Mm.
And I was sort of aware of it and sort of aware of the number. But my question sort of came along with the the intention of using 432 versus the universe or the global tuning of 440 hertz.
yes.
And I maybe take a little more serious turn here. When I think of it, it's like, do do the people who decided to go to 440 know what they're doing? Are they consciously aware of the difference? Like, does 432
Mm.
create harmony in a beautiful image with the sound, so it's going to resonate with our bodies really well, versus 440? Was it something that was done intentionally, or was it something just because they thought, well, this is a good tuning and we're going to use it, and they don't consciously know what they're doing,
Mm.
or is it something that's like this is going to disrupt and make people feel less connected? That
Well,
was my big
yeah,
question for that one.
it's a big one because it does bring up conspiracy theories, but the father of music at the time was like Pythagoras, and they worked with all these harmonics of 27, 54, 432. So it goes way back to the subdivision of a fundamental string. When you pluck it at halfway point, you get the octave. So what I just did there was the octaves or the harmonics of 27. So but and then you, but the story with 440 was that Hitler's actual propaganda, Goebbels, was the one that there was a deliberate attempt to discredit 432 hertz because it was a pure tone, and
Hmm.
that it was deliberately changed the concert. The international concert pitch after the time of Hitler was completely disharmonic. So the 440 was introduced to keep us separated basically from God in a sense, to keep us out of
Okay.
sync. So I know it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but there's enough information out there. I mean, I'm just following all the breadcrumbs. I'm not an authority. I'm just like one of your students. I'm just looking for patterns and symmetry. And when I look at all the harmonics of, say, 27, um, I see order in the universe. I see harmony. I feel happy when I like those children discovering patterns in nature. There's a wow factor there. It's like, oh, it all fits in. It makes sense. But 440 just doesn't feel right. It's not because I play an instrument. I play an Arabic oud. It's an 11 string guitar,
Hmm.
and I tune it to the 432, and it puts you into kind of like a trance state. It's kind of
Mm.
so I've been experiencing I'm trying to instead of just believing. I said, okay, I'm going to tune this instrument to 432, and I get results.
Mm.
There was another question you had about I'm just going to go back to this Vogel crystal here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was one of your questions which I'm in love with this. I just wanted to I'll show the image in a minute, but we've got a 60-degree angle here, which is the hexagon, and the other and this is the positive, that's where energy comes out. And this other end here is the 52-degree angle. It's the slope angle of the pyramid. It's not the corner angle, it's actually from the midpoint of that base, that slope height that goes down there, if that's 1.6185, this bottom bit is 1. So there's a golden ratio, 1 is to 1.618. So, because I'm a great lover of Vogel crystals, I've got that image here for you. Share, where is it? I, okay, I was just wondering, you had another question about this, but before we go into it, this was part of the course material. If you can
Hmm.
remind me what your question was about restructuring water, or was it water consciousness, or the tree of life?
So
There's a lot in here.
y-
There's a lot in here.
yeah. A lot of questions I have, but to be specific about the crystal is something what I it's more of it something that has come up to me when I think of the our energetic field and the crystal, the shape of the crystal kind of reminds me of a vesica piscis, the center.
Yes,
And then you've talked about animals, specifically fish, who have crystals in their body or in their head kind of area that helps them keep upright.
yes.
And thinking for myself when I'm meditating and imagining my and fe trying to feel my energetic field, where things it comes out and goes in, right? Like this is the motion on it. You know, does the crystal uh is help us with our gravitational pull, so to speak? The idea was if the Earth has a magnetic field as well that's
Mhm.
perhaps pulling us in and we're connecting to it as well. So the question I have is like, do crystals actually help us keep us on the Earth? Like, is it part of our gravitational pull, so to speak? So if the energy is coming in from underneath or going out from us, then we must be pulling the Earth into ourselves. But it's not like this huge magnetic draw where you can't release from it. It's
Yeah.
like if we have this energy field going around the toroidal field, and we have an in and an out, then I feel like if we're connected and crystals are in our body, then should our magnetic fields be drawing us and keeping us on the earth and connecting us, and we're drawing energy in and releasing what we've used and what we no longer need,
Well,
and along with other animals.
that kind of reminds me of when we're talking about fractal or self-similarity, is that like our human form is like a torus, and the earth itself, our we're sitting on the earth, which is also like another energetic torus, and then the earth is in another solar system, which is a kind of like a bigger torus. So it's kind of like when you put your hand in a glove and everything's fitting in together. I'll just show the torus here. Um, so our human form is actually inside, let's say this is the Earth. So where we fit beautifully inside this magnetic field of the Earth that can go in and
Hmm.
suck energy in, which is what that 50, this angle up here, that 51 degrees, a pyramid angle, pulls like a cancer out. And the other end here is the other direction, it's going this way. So because we fit inside the torus, it all kind of connects the microcosm to the macrocosm. So if we were to cut the torus in half, for example, if I got this torus and I cut it in half, what we're going to see inside the torus, I'll just stop share. So if I cut the torus, I'll go back here. If we do a transverse cut of the torus, what's inside the torus? Um, we've got this slinky here. We join it, and we suddenly got another torus here, and it can turn inside out. And we're in the middle.
Hmm.
We're just the bridge
Yeah.
between the worlds and the microcosm, macrocosm. But if we cut the torus in half, we if we cut the torus in half, we end up with like this symbol, this but the true geometry of the whole universe, if we're in that center point of the infinity symbol, I believe there's the torus within the torus within the torus as they keep expanding in the rate of the Fibonacci numbers. If you go 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, we found a way that we're harmonically embedded um, without any destructivity. So if we are crystalline in the nature and the earth is a crystal and everything is crystal that I understand, we're in a resonance. So there's a harmony. That's why
Hmm.
the fundamental shape of the universe is the torus, which is based on the golden ratio. So that's why I think everything just fits in. That's my whole kind of
Hmm.
philosophy.
Yeah, I have a question about the torus. I've got one here.
Yep.
I don't know if it's hard. It's probably a little harder to see because
Yeah,
it's a
no, I can
wire
see
one.
that. Yeah, that's a lovely,
Yeah.
it's
So
got,
what
yep.
this is what I love this because one day I found it. I don't know where it came from.
It's a party
I
toy.
didn't.
A
I
party toy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was in my. I was renting a house about a year ago, and this happened to be there. I thought a construction worker had left it because it was like this when I
Yeah.
found it.
You picked it up and
Uh,
what happened?
yeah, so I'm like, oh, my son found it and he started playing with it and he's like, what is this? And I was like, hey, I'm actually learning about that right now. So I found this and because the torus that you showed has the center, and so I looked at this like this is the I guess the 2D circle
Yeah.
that goes into the sphere.
Can you hold it
Kind
up
of
high
hold
so we
it.
can you do that again? Do that again
Yep.
and hold it up so we can see. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got the circle. I don't know if it would be better in front of the, it's a bit out of focus.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I got to go from the circle, which I think this is the 2D,
Yeah.
right? We just got and then if you hold it open gently and hold it, you get the sphere. And the sphere I was always like, the sphere seems a bit chaotic because the lines aren't really
Yeah.
uniform. They're going in different directions.
Yeah.
And then when I let it go, it pops into the torus. So my question for your torus has the direct center, right? There's just a passageway going straight down.
Yeah.
Where this one has a cavity
Yeah.
right in the center. Is there a difference, or is it just because this is the way it's shaped?
It's a bit like this 3D. This is I cut this out. It's almost that shape of this is the work of Michael Evans who said that instead of looking at plain flat pyramids, he visualized every shape as curved. So
Hmm.
he looked at the vesica piscis as curved shapes. He found that this was a central shape, and that reminds me of the shape of the Torah flux, that image
Yeah.
in the middle
So
there. The
that,
natural, and no one's talking about it besides Michael Evans. It's
yeah,
almost
and
like
like,
a fish eye, not a fish eye, but it looks very organic and natural of curved mapping curved space. But I think that's the shape inside the Torah flux that you got.
yeah. So that's what I was thinking. Like looking at it
Yeah,
from when I look at it, I see that like the Vogel crystal could fit inside there.
yeah,
And so like, is that sort of what, yeah, is that what the
yeah.
field? So, and then is this the field that surrounds us? Do we sit inside this field? Like our physical body fits in here. And so if something's pulling in, we're drawing in energy here. Is this where we're getting the Earth's energy? So my hand is the Earth. We're
Yeah.
able to draw in, keeping us connected to the Earth.
When I first learned Chinese, Tai Chi at university, I had a Chinese teacher and I was very green. I didn't understand much. And he says, I learned to breathe through your feet. And I said, what? How do you breathe through your feet? You know, the energy comes out. So all the movements was the earth energy going up your feet. And then, your hands radiate out, which is no different than so the Vogel crystal absorbs energy from the 52-degree angle and
Hmm.
releases energy through the 60. So this is what DNA does. DNA, the cross section of DNA is based on the pentagon, the pyramid angle, and the hexagon. So this is it, and that 52-degree angle down here is critical because that's half the water bond angle. The bond
Yeah.
angle between hydrogen, the oxygen and the two hydrogen is 104.5. So this is called the double pent or double bond, double pyramid angle, double 52 degrees. The pyramid angle is 51.84, so we round it off. So somehow it's all interconnected, crystal,
Hmm.
water consciousness, DNA. And I'm not saying anyone knows the answer, but all I know is that the key thing in all of sacred geometry is the word fractal. It's not about fractionation, it's the opposite. It's about wholeness and interconnectedness. And so I guess the only way we can do is transmit our limited knowledge to children, and they're going to solve all the problems, like making a better world, better.
Yeah.
I'm not against technology, but we just want better technology, and it's also about the consciousness of people. We're not interested in, oh, someone's just done AI or we can go live on Mars. I'm not interested in rockets. I'm more interested in the consciousness of the scientist who's making them because they're in tension. I think that was one of your questions about intention. The
Hmm.
intention is more important than the actual physical prototype or device.
Yeah. I use the analogy of nuclear energy. I think if you have your heart towards nuclear energy, it powers cities and we can figure out a way to make it safe and then the energy and the intention goes into it. But if it's, mind centered, centered, then it's destructive. And like,
Yes.
we have it. And I think technology is the same. It's a tool for us to use and with our intention. And that's where I'm like, that's where I ask the question, is it a conscious intention? Were things changed or are things kept because it's just routine and tradition, or are we actually aware of where this tool is coming from and how we can use the tool? So like changing the tuning from 432 to 440, do we keep it because it's tradition?
Yeah.
Do we really know what it's doing? Or is there a hidden purpose or somebody else? I mean, that's just the example because we've talked about it. But there's a lot of things, like look at sports, for example. I grew up playing a lot of sports.
Yes.
I played ice hockey. I can use my hockey stick to score goals and have fun and play, but I can also use it as a weapon. So
Exactly.
where's my intention?
Yeah. Well, I think intention is everything. It's completely everything. It's the story of good versus evil, whether you're coming from your heart or from your head. It's somehow we've got
Hmm.
to bridge our heart, which is the first organ to form in the embryo. We are heart-based beings. And if we're not coming from our heart, we the energy is destructive. And yeah, so we're at a really critical time in our world, and
Hmm.
so and the way education's going in public school systems is kind of frightening at the moment.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why I want to teach this. That's why I want to do what I'm doing.
yeah, no, that's why I honor your work, and what you're doing is you become a model for a future science for a better world, So
Hmm.
I'd love at some point, in years to come to see where your students go. Like that's something to keep our finger on the pulse of what you're doing is, in 5, 10 years to see what, you know, they could be entering they could become scientists, but they're creating more ecosophical, more designs that blend in with the environment. Like there was one boy, this is years ago, but it got shut down. There was one boy in Africa who was who built solar panels, and he was watching the sun as it rises and sets, and he thought, I'm going to make a tree. Instead of putting solar panels on a linear roof, on a flat roof, he decided to put all the solar panels on different angles of a tree. So at any time as the sun was tracking, all the different angles was capturing more photovoltaic energy. So that this tree produced more energy than our conventional solar panels, and
Wow.
they shut it down. But it was a child in Africa that successfully made a better design, but our governments shut it down. And I thought, whatever happened to that boy and his tree of life?
Yeah.
It's copying the sunflower, because the sunflower's head actually rotates. It actually moves around, and yeah. So I'm always fascinated with the minds of children, and I think it was Victor Schauberger who said, comprehend nature, then copy it, or was the other, the copy and comprehend, or comprehend and
Hmm.
copy nature. Just see what nature does, and that's our future designs, And
Yeah. I think it's a loop, you comprehend and copy, comprehend, copy, comprehend, copy. I think
yeah,
it's like I think one of your mandalas, it's Earth, right? Like you have the Earth going around, but it's got a couple of different words in there. Heart
yeah.
and Earth. I think it's yeah,
It's just
copy,
the one
comprehend is
word,
just
earth. It's the same word, earth, 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 earth.
yeah.
And I've used it on all my book covers, and everyone's using it now. It says as you read it, it says heart, 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 but it also says hear the art, hear the art, hear the art. And yes, it's a very simple poem, but effective, and it's
Hmm.
the earth heart connection. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of these ideas come from, right? I think it's where children, in my experience, most children who are creating from their heart and creating something that's useful, something that they want to see grow. And I think that's where our education system sort of drops the ball a little bit because they're thinking from the mind to memorize and copy and create, but not comprehend. There's a difference there.
Mm.
And then when they create something that doesn't quite fit what should be done, yeah, it's unfortunate. But this is where I think intention is so key in getting students like for me as a teacher and other things too. Like I also do some work with, I've got a couple friends here, and one is a military vet, and working with him on breath work and consciousness and tuning into the heart and drawing in the energy, like our toroidal field, and drawing in through the earth's energy to heal the heart, to strengthen the heart. And I think a lot of students, children, don't have that heart damage yet. So their hearts are strong, but their hearts are also naive and not quite mature. So as they create and do things, it's just this is what they think it's helpful, so let's do it. So as we get into the education system going on about, rote learning, as you say, and memorization and regurgitation, it starts to become more mind-centered than heart-centered.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with my education and teaching, though.
Well, we've still got about 5, 10 minutes to go. Is there anything you'd like to share your screen or final thoughts? Is there anything, any other question? Any
Well, there's the one that we talked about earlier, just shortly, was the deeply divine digits. I don't know if you wanted to
Oh,
chat a little bit
yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
when you sent me that, I I just love the poetical expression of it. Could you tell me more about what you're doing? Is that about digital reduction or like what can you explain that more? It's a great title. Deeply div
Yeah. So, my father-in-law is a pastor in Canada, and we've always had good religious and theological talks. And the more that I've looked and learned about sacred geometry through your courses, there was a lot of connections to Jesus and other religious components around the world. And, in sort of connecting with my father-in-law, I felt I was actually in one of his sermons one morning at church and listening, and he started mentioning there was a couple of things that kind of popped out, like numbers and shapes in his referencing the Bible. And it just kind of dawned on me. It was like, I probably should explore that, because perhaps, just out of curiosity and more playfulness, perhaps there's codes in the Bible, something coming up that's like, no, not like, key codes, or like the Da Vinci Code, I guess, is one that might come to mind when I say codes in the Bible. But I thought there's got to be something there, like perhaps there is, like if there's some kind of connection when they mention things that are kind of speaking something else that we might have understood when that was written, or throughout the ages, that was connected to our health or to our connection to the earth. So for me, looking at that was like, okay, well, this is fun. So I asked him, I was like, when you're reading and you're taking your notes and developing your sermons, if you come across a number sequence or something that looks like a numerical pattern, or even just anything that might have some shape to it or something along these lines. So I kind of gave him an outline. And so he sent me probably about, I think, 10 verses now. And there was a few that really, really popped out. And one specifically talked about, five covered porches around a pool. I was like, well, pool is water, and this is where people went to heal. And
Yes.
so, like, they're really identifying water as healing. And I was like, well, the Pentagon is there, five covered porches. So that's something sort of like a side project that I'm doing simply out of curiosity and fun, to see, in our I'm trying to explore texts that are important to us. And so with this one, it's something that I'm working with my father-in-law on to where it goes, and
Yeah.
more of my own curiosity of ancient writings, historical writings, and biblical texts.
Yeah. I'm very interested in what they call biblical gematria. If you look in the background here, I'm pointing to a Bible. It says Bible
Hmm.
1928. And it could be even older than it could be late 1700. But I study the Bible and I study the Quran. I study Jewish stuff. I just did a board yesterday. I want to end on talking about deeply divine digits. My family come down regularly once a week, and I do chalkboards because I'm very dyslexic. I like to do.
Yeah, I love your chalkboards. They look fantastic.
I've just got one here, but I'll just see if I can show it. Just stay there. Um, It's called Numerical Karma. This is I'm just going to put this down to show you. There's all these examples, but basically what it's saying, um, yeah, I call it this. It's about it's taking numbers, divine digits, and mirroring them. So let's say it's about multiplicative symmetry. So if we take 122 times 213, so you get your calculator, and the answer is 25,986, right? What I'm
Hmm.
doing now is that whatever information is on that line, I want to you reverse it. So if you reverse 25,986, you get 68,952. And that's equal to the reverse of these digits. So 122 reversed is 221, and 213 reversed is 312. So whatever information on the top is an exact mirror of the other one. And that's not my information. The one I used to know years ago was down here. It's called 12 by 12. If you know that 12 times 12 is 144, but if you reverse it, you get 21 times 21 equals 441. So I've known all this before, but I didn't know about the bigger ones. But what's amazing about it, because you're talking about the biblical reference to the divine digits. What I think all this means, that's just knowledge, it's just information. It's like, so what? It means nothing except
Yeah.
for the mirroring, but it's reverse because it's reversible. How do we explain this mathematical nonsense into a spiritual thing? So if you look at the Bible up here, Luke chapter 6:31, it says, um, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, which means
Mhm.
whatever this is, we're just talking basically, we're just coming to a conclusion that mathematics is an ancient language. It's a code that's an expression of our spiritual lives. And I just thought that that was a really interesting example that, like what we do to the environment, for example, we're doing to ourselves.
Hmm.
And that's what I love about what you're doing and teaching children is that you're giving them a deeper understanding of the universe by exploring mathematical patterns and symmetry and turning numbers into pictures and looking for spiders. And I mean, even the spider web that you showed before, it's so profound. This
Hmm.
creature is showing us how the universe is constructed. Yes, I just recorded this yesterday. We have to do content all the time. That's what when I mean I never knew I was going to be running a digital school. I always wanted the reason why I'm in love with what you're doing is because my prayer to the universe, talking about intentions, was that one day every child in the universe should learn sacred geometry. This is pre-internet. So what did the universe give me? Well, it gave me AI and internet where now I'm running a digital school, but I know nothing about running a digital school. I just still want to be that teacher that takes your shoes off, sits under a tree, and creates the platonic solids under a tree. But anyway, so you have to be careful how you express your intention because what we focus on, it becomes that.
Hmm.
And with AI coming now, because I've had a resistance to AI in a couple of months, we'll be able to push a button and have everything we're speaking and teaching in any language of the world because we get a lot of emails from France and Italy. Can you please translate all your videos and children's books? But it's available, but there's a big expense to it, but it's coming.
Hmm.
So we're
Yeah.
really reaching a very global situation. And I think we have to tread very carefully and lightly where we're going with this knowledge. Like, is knowledge power? Um, how do we share this to children so that they use it in the right way? So, do you have any closing thoughts? And also, how can people contact you if they want to email you? If you want any contact from anyone, can you give us your closing thoughts on this idea and how to contact you?
All right. Well, I think the expand your consciousness is just for anybody really who wants to explore their own thoughts and feelings, spirituality within their existence. To be honest, it's straightforward. It's like this course really opened up my mind of what is possible to learn. The next challenge for me is my wife said it to me like, what does it matter? And I was thinking like, well, I think what does it matter? What and matter in this term of a verb and a noun, not the sort of colloquial term we use, like, oh, it doesn't really matter. And it's going to be the next step. It's like this is what's coming, is
Mm.
as it does matter when students and children start picking it up.
Beautiful.
And I've learned and seen things, just like all these little things start to pop out. And my appreciation for nature, uh, my connected, my connectedness to nature, to everything around me, and starting to see how um, the world works, for better or worse, heart or mind. And one of the things that I've really started to see is taking that different perspective. So the things that I do, being a teacher, I'm really looking at my students in a different way of what they're learning and where they're going, and how this, I would call it like the root knowledge, can benefit them in the short term, the long run, and anything they're doing.
Yes.
I also work with, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I was doing some breath work, and being able to get people to be aware of how their body works with the earth, understanding that more, and then for personal um,
Yeah.
interests, like I mentioned, with the deeply divine digits, and exploring my own beliefs and understanding of what I've learned. So,
Beautiful.
um, and then the last thing I'm working on right now is with a group of friends. We're opening up a retreat place for U.S. veterans who have suffered trauma in war and in battle and combat, and coming in, and we're trying to help them figure out their perspective and use that energy that's sort of stuck and causing problems to transmute and integrate it into their being, and work through that. So
Beautiful.
um, yeah, I've got a lot going on. I'm pretty excited about this, and it sort of has all come out of what happened 5 years ago, and then
Yes.
coming up to learning from you and your work. And I'm incredibly thankful that we were put in contact when we were, and here we are today. And I can provide an email or a website um, a web address to contact me.
Okay, we can put that in the bio when we get this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll send it to you.
Thank you so much. Well, look, I look forward to contacting you again in a few years to see what your students are doing or what's happening in your world. But I honor your lifestyle. You're a mirror for me, and your evolution and progress is important to me. So thank you for everything
Oh,
you
thank you.
do.
You're welcome. And thank you so much for your books and the writings, the videos, everything. And
Mm.
just your blessing to having this passed on to children is wonderful. It makes me feel great that I'm simply just a vessel passing the information through to them. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing for all of us.
Well, maybe when I need a holiday, sometimes I need to just chill out and take a couple of weeks off or a month, and I might come and see you.
Oh,
So
that would be fantastic.
let's have a
I'd love to have you here and show you around and enjoy the
oh,
Dominican Republic.
thank you so much. See you soon.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.